Ben Shapiro was recently trending on Twitter. I had no interest in finding out why. And then I came across an awesome tweet about it by our very own Brett Ehrlich, which we'll get to in just a minute. But it had to do with this hilarious commentary that Ben Shapiro had about Sports Illustrated. Take a look.
It does make me wonder whether inevitably we're going to end up with basically two sports leagues. Whether at some point people are just going to want a sports league that does not allow this sort of stuff to impede the play or get on the field. And people are just going to view that, because I got to say, like, I've been fairly tolerant of this stuff in terms of watching sports my entire life. There are only a couple of times where I've really turned off the TV. One was, when it came to Sports Illustrated, I was a lifelong subscriber to Sports Illustrated. My parents gave it to me for my bar mitzvah. I had Sports Illustrated subscription for like another 10, 12 years. I used to keep the old issues in a box. I mean, that's how much I enjoyed it. And then when they decided, it's important for us to feature Caitlyn Jenner on the cover, when Bruce Jenner had not been an actual athlete for 3 decades. And all of a sudden I'm reading about transgenderism in Sports Illustrated. I was like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore, because this has nothing to do with sports. And I subscribe to a sports magazine. I'm not doing this anymore. And the other is during the Kaepernick protest, when it became incumbent on people to somehow approve of the hands up, don't shoot symbology that was being put out by particular players. I'm tempted to do the same with the NBA now that you have LeBron James, who was willing to basically virtue signal on behalf of the communist Chinese government, but rip Drew Brees. It's getting to the point where I don't want to watch sports. My place of comfort has been removed from me, and it may not be restored until there are actual sports leagues that remove politics from the sports.
Cenk, my place of comfort has been removed from me.
That's
your safe space?
Yeah.
Your safe space? You want your safe space? You want your okay, look, let me make one serious comment, and then I have a bunch of non-serious comments to make about him because he's a joke. But look, imagine being so privileged and so disconnected from reality that while the world around you burns, while there are mass protests all throughout the country, while hundreds of thousands of Americans die in the middle of a pandemic that was devastatingly mismanaged by an incompetent president like Donald Trump, the thing that you're sitting there and awkwardly bitching about is too much politics in sports? That your safe space with the Sports Illustrated issues has been destroyed by people who decided to comment, i.e. express themselves through speech about police brutality, about racism in America? Like, he's such a fraud. It blows my mind that some people can't see through it. His whole brand for a while, I think it still continues to be his brand, was, I believe in free speech, and these colleges with these students who protest my speeches, it's wrong. I disagree with it. Okay, like that was his whole thing. And now he's doing this awkward segment where he somehow has like this uncomfortable thing with looking into the camera. He never looks into the camera. All he's bitching about is other people expressing opinions that he disagrees with. Like, this is what he's aggrieved about while all these other issues are happening in the country right now. It blows my mind. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, the projection from conservatives is so awesome. Liberals want a safe space. I love my comfort zone. Maybe you could go in a bunker like Trump, be bunker boy 2.0. Have they made you uncomfortable with their speech, Ben? Maybe you should protest it. Oh, well, you kind of are in a sense, aren't you? Good for you. And then I love his idea of the racist leagues. Maybe there should be 2 different leagues. One that has black people, and another one that doesn't. Good luck with that. In fact, that used to exist. Is this hilarious story. Back when the college basketball was segregated, Kentucky had what they thought was the best team, an invincible team that was all white. And they believed that black people were not smart enough to play basketball. They went up against a black college finally and got annihilated. They were like, what just happened? Right. So I'd love to see how Ben Shapiro's racist leagues do against the actual leagues and see how that turns out for him. And then everything he says is grating on the nerves / hilarious. Now LeBron James is in favor of communist China. Yeah, I know. LeBron's a commie. Okay, you're a joke. You're a hilarious joke. And then this guy wrote a whole book about how bad porn is. Guarantee he's broken every record in the book on that. in what he's done. But anyway, but back in the day, you used to get Sports Illustrated, right?
I know.
He wrote a porn.
He wrote that book. That was a book that he wrote. A book about like porn is wrong. Don't watch porn. Porn should be banned. Like that's, you know, the kind of expression he disagrees with. And then this is Sports Illustrated. Now, granted, it's the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, but I didn't hear him bitching and complaining about that. He doesn't have any problems with that. Probably because that serves as his wanking material now that he's, you know, openly said that he's against porn. So, you know, the softcore stuff that masquerades around as sports is okay.
You know, he quit it when they confused him with Caitlyn Jenner. And he's like, well, I mean, I did read it, but only for the articles. And then afterwards, I was like, no more. I can't do that anymore. Anyway, finally, although I do want to get to Brett's tweets because they're actually the most important point is about actual history of sports. But my favorite out of all of those was when he said right at the beginning, now I've been tolerant of this stuff before.
No, you haven't.
It gives you a view into his mindset. Like, I tolerated black people before, but now they've gone too far. They don't even want to be murdered. No, I can't tolerate this anymore. Because in his mindset, he's owed everything. He's privileged, he's entitled, and he's the victim. He's all those things. And he put up with black people long enough, but he's not going to do it anymore.
Yeah, it's so incredible. I want to go to, actually, I'm going to save the best for last. Let's save Brett's tweet for last, because there are two other tweets I want to read that I thought made really great points. One of them is the following. Ben Shapiro, there's no free speech on campus anymore. Also, Ben Shapiro, we need 2 sports leagues so I don't have to see anyone kneel for a minute in protest for police killing black people. I mean, calling out that hypocrisy is important because it's true. Here's one other tweet. Ben Shapiro, sports are getting too political. Sports history, we've always been political, right? And you see that imagery, which of course includes the 1968 Olympics, where you have the athletes holding up their fists, black-gloved fists, and that was perceived as a Black Power salute. So there's always been politics or political commentary involved in the sports world, right? And when you're living in a country that's supposed to celebrate freedom of expression, freedom of speech, especially if that's what you've built your brand on, you should be celebrating people's ability to share their perspectives, their worldview, their point of view. But of course, he doesn't want that because Ben Shapiro believes that colleges shouldn't be a safe space, but the entire country should be a safe space specifically for his ideals, his values, and his politics.
Yeah, and on politics, first of all, if you're a political commentator and you say sports has never been involved with politics before, you should stop and get another profession because you don't know anything about politics and you don't know anything about sports. Anyone who knows anything about those two things knows that politics has been involved from the get-go. I mean, the case of not just 68 Olympics, Muhammad Ali, Hitler made it political by saying black people weren't as good as white people. Oops, that Jesse Owens and others proved him wrong. I mean, it was political all the way back then. And it's also been political from the right-wing side. When Steve Largent, for example, became a Republican congressman, Republicans loved sports and politics together. So their hypocrisy, of course, is endless. So finally, let's do Brett's tweet.
All right, so Brett tweeted, number 1, Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue has nothing to do with sports either, wanky boy. That was my favorite line. Very good. Number 2, sports is fine without you. That was also a very good line because it's true. Like, I love how, like, this is Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is like, I don't know. I'm going to awkwardly not look into the camera while I pretend like I'm watching sports and I'm consuming sports, but I'm no longer feeling safe consuming this material, and I'm not. Who cares? No one cares, Ben. They're going to be fine without you. Okay. This is your preference. There are days when, you know what? Twitter's too much for me today. I'm not going to go on Twitter. And I move on with my life. I don't do a whole segment on it. Like it's amazing. Number 3, just watch the game, ignore the politics. Number 4, you think the play is impeded by things that happen before the game. And number 5, my place of comfort, so your safe space.
Yeah. Look, to be fair though, I heard Harden called Durant and we're like, dude, did you hear? Shapiro might not watch anymore.
They're losing sleep. Yeah.
They care so much, Ben. You got them on the ropes. That's a sports analogy.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.